All right, so here's the deal. The draft is done, the picks are in, and there's actually a lot to unpack here. This wasn't just about filling gaps. It really feels like the team had a plan and stuck to it. Some moves were obvious. Others might have caught you off guard. But when you look closer, you can kind of see what they're trying to build. Now, the big question is, did they actually get it right? Let's analyze this and much more. So come with me, and I'll tell you everything. Be sure to click the like button and tell me, what do you think of our draft this year? I want to know your opinion. The Chicago Bears have wrapped up the 2026 NFL Draft with a clear identity. And what stands out immediately is how intentional this class feels from top to bottom. 7 picks, 7 players, and a front office that didn't just fill holes, but targeted athleticism, versatility, and scheme fit at every turn. It all starts with Dylan Thiemann at pick 25. And this is the kind of selection that sets the tone for everything else. The Bears didn't have to force anything here. A player graded as a fringe top 15 talent falls right into their lap, and they take him without hesitation. This is exactly what you want when need and best player available align. Thiemann brings elite athleticism and versatility to the secondary, with the ability to move around and complement what's already in place. If Jaylon Johnson and Kyler Gordon stay healthy, this defensive backfield suddenly looks like a real strength going into 2026. There are still questions about the defensive line, but on the back end, you can see a unit forming with identity and depth. Then comes day 2, where things got a bit more complex, but also more telling about the Bears' strategy. Logan Jones steps in as a highly athletic center with 51 career starts, and while he may not take over immediately, the long-term vision is clear. He fits the scheme perfectly, especially in outside zone concepts, and his intelligence and technical ability give him a strong foundation. Learning behind a veteran like Garrett Bradbury could be exactly what he needs before eventually taking over. For a team that has struggled to find stability at center for years, this could quietly become one of the most important picks in the class. Sam Rush adds another layer to the offense, and this is where you start to see how the coaching staff wants to evolve. At 6'6", over 260 pounds, he brings a blend of blocking strength and receiving ability that fits modern tight end usage. The Bears traded back to get him, picking up extra value along the way, and that flexibility paid off. His production at Stanford, even in a struggling offense, shows he can contribute right away. With the increasing use of multiple tight end sets, especially under an offensive-minded system, Roush could see meaningful snaps early and grow into a bigger role over time. The most debated pick early on day 2 is Zavon Thomas, and this is where you really have to trust the coaching vision. On paper, it feels like a reach. A player projected more as a gadget weapon, and return specialist goes earlier than expected. But the key here is how he'll be used. Thomas brings explosiveness, creativity, and the kind of playmaking ability that can change games in small doses. If he develops beyond that into a more complete offensive weapon, this pick could look very different in hindsight. It's a calculated swing, and one that reflects confidence in the coaching staff's ability to maximize unique skill sets. Then the Bears bounce back into strong value territory with Malik Muhammad, a player many believed should have gone earlier. A multi-year starter at Texas with ideal length and athleticism, he brings both physical tools and the mindset required to play corner at a high level. His mentality stands out just as much as his measurables, showing a level of competitiveness that fits perfectly with what this defense is trying to build. He may not start immediately, but he'll compete, and that competition could elevate the entire cornerback room. At this point, you can clearly see the pattern. Athletes, competitors, and players who fit very specific roles within the system. This isn't a random collection of talent. It's a coordinated effort to reshape the roster with a clear philosophy in mind. And when you look at how these early and mid-round decisions connect, it raises an important question about the direction of this team moving forward. Are the Bears finally building a roster that reflects a true long-term vision rather than short-term fixes? And do you believe this draft class is strong enough to accelerate that process? As the draft moved into the later rounds, the Chicago Bears didn't lose that same discipline. They doubled down on it, and that's where this class really starts to feel complete. Malik Muhammad wasn't the last value pick. He was part of a stretch that could quietly define how successful this draft becomes over the next few years. Kayshawn Elliott comes in as another intriguing piece, especially when you look at his physical profile and mentality. At over 230 pounds with sub 4.6 speed, he brings the kind of athletic upside that fits perfectly with what this staff has been targeting. He's not a finished product, particularly in coverage, and that's something that could limit his role early on. But what stands out is his approach to the game. Coaches have described him as someone who constantly pushes to improve, the type of player who stays late, asks questions, and looks for every possible edge. That matters when you're projecting development. Early on, he likely fits into a rotational role, especially on early downs where his instincts and physicality can show up. But if he grows in coverage, there's a real path for him to become a full-time starter down the line. Then comes one of the most fascinating stories of the entire draft with Jordan Vandenberg. The Bears traded up to get him, giving up their final 2 picks to secure a player they clearly didn't want to risk losing. And when you look deeper, you start to understand why. He's not just another defensive tackle added to the rotation. He's a rare athlete at the position. At 6'3", 310 pounds, with elite testing numbers across the board, including a near unheard-of athletic profile for someone his size, he brings a ceiling that's hard to ignore. This is a player who was constantly in the backfield during his final college season, producing tackles for loss, pressures, and showing real disruption ability on the interior. But beyond the numbers, there's also the story. The first South African player ever drafted into the NFL, a zero-star recruit who took the junior college route before earning his opportunity and eventually breaking out. That kind of path often builds a different level of resilience and hunger, and it shows in how he plays. The Bears are betting not just on traits, but on trajectory. Right now, the defensive tackle group is more about rotation than dominance, with players like Gervon Dexter and Grady Jarrett holding things down. Vandenberg steps into that mix immediately, and with his athletic profile, he has a real chance to carve out snaps sooner rather than later. When you step back and look at the full picture, this draft feels like a calculated blend of immediate contributors and long-term upside. Dylan Thiemann has the potential to anchor the secondary. Logan Jones could finally stabilize the center position. Sam Roush adds versatility to the offense. Malik Muhammad and Kayshawn Elliott bring competition and depth to the defense. And then you have the swing bets, Zaven Thomas and Jordan Vandenberg, players who might not have been consensus picks at their spots, but could outperform expectations if developed correctly. The final grade settles around a B+, and that feels fair when you consider both the strengths and the risks. There's a lot to like, especially in terms of fit and athletic upside, but, as always, it will come down to development and execution on the field. What stands out most is that this doesn't feel like a scattered approach. There's a clear philosophy here, a commitment to speed, versatility, and scheme alignment that runs through every pick. Now, it's about seeing how quickly these pieces come together and which of these players take that next step early in their careers. Because if even a few of them hit their ceiling, This class could end up being a turning point for the franchise. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, drop a like if you enjoyed this breakdown, and click on the video that's on your screen right now. If you want the latest Chicago Bears updates and analysis first, this is the place to be.